just received the leg.
I've paused it here before round 3 because this is significant for me. This is where 2 of the judges gave a 10-8. Let's watch it again and see. Like, it's not possible. We've all watched it. We all know it's impossible. And, you know, I might get in trouble for saying this. Maybe those judges should look at a different career.
10-8?
Than
No way.
MMA judging. I don't think they should judge fights again.
That was a good round. For me, okay, it wasn't a 10-8 for sure. Or maybe for me, I gave 10-9 to Shorty as well this round, but not 10-8. I'm 100% no. But even then, even though it's not just saying that it was a 10-9 for Shorty, Shorty won that fight. He's doing the same thing like he started with the second round, being more aggressive, pushing back, getting those clean shots.
I gave this round to Shorty as well.
He started, but the thing was, Nkosi did a really good job in this round. It's not like what people saw this round where they feel like, it was a 10-8. No.
Well, already it's not a 10-8.
Yeah, 100%. So you look at this first minute itself, you realize it's not 10-8. Yeah, absolutely.
The first minute is close.
Yeah.
But I think round 3 for me was one of the most obvious examples of how good Shorty Torres' defense is on the feet.
And how much he learns the opponent as it goes. Now you look at it, all these positions. Now the clinch position is very clear. He's going to try to take you off balance. You got to keep leaning into him and try to keep him on the cage rather than being able to do anything. See, he's constantly taking him off balance and popping his shoulders, and it's just that work.
One thing he does so well for him, and which it does so well, and what's really impressive as the shorter, smaller fighter, is his ability to create space in that position.
Absolutely, and one thing that changed everything from the 3rd round to the 5th is that teep kick of Nkosi is no more defended like the first 2 rounds where he did the Muay Thai sweep. Now he uses his same hand to the same side and uses elbow to hit to the side of those, between the calf and the whatever that muscle is near the shin bone. And between that, he's going to pierce his elbow every time you throw the kick. And that's funny because for me, if you look at it technically, you're like, who's hurting who there? Because if anyone ever got that elbows, that every time you throw and you smack that elbow into that space between the calf muscles, nobody's going to throw that front kick anymore.
Well, it's also like looking at calf kicks.
Yeah.
If you get a good guy that has a Muay Thai foundation that knows how to check a kick properly, you see some guys throwing those calf kicks, and if it gets checked, they ain't throwing very many more of them after. If you look at the Vadim Kutsi Ismail Nordiev fight in Germany, there was one kick that Vadim Kutsi absolutely levered Ismail with. He turned his leg out just at the right moment, checked it, and then pointed at him, and there was no more leg kicks. And that was a defensive move.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He switches. He no more sweeping the front kick. It's always going to be that elbow. You can notice that from here. Every time he throws that teep kick, it's no more effective. But the first round, the front kick that he was throwing in the first round, it was so effective. You could see that red spot.
Yeah, you could,
on Shorty's torso.
And he's nasty with it. He stabs with it. It's nasty.
And then from now, you will notice that.
Yeah, let's see that, because I didn't pick up on that.
That was crazy.
I didn't pick up on it.
And so he nullifies his front kick now. And
see, he shouldn't have gone like that.
You see that?
Yeah.
Every time. You'll notice from now, it's every time the same thing.
And I want to see Nkosi go back to his straight punches. He has much more success when he throws it nice and straight.
Yeah, he's got some really good stiff jabs, and he does and he did some.
Oh
good
yeah, I see it there. He brings that elbow across. It's lovely. We talk about the strength of Nkosi, but my God, the strength of Shorty as well.
Look at that. Why did Nkosi go to his knees? I mean, he was standing up. He was getting that guillotine. And it wasn't the knees that everybody was thinking that he's going to throw knees in that position, but he pushed him all the way to the cage. And then he used the cage to lift him up and crank his neck.
Yeah.
And that's when Nkosi said, I'm going to go on my knees.
Yeah.
And that's where he got his back after that.
The strength of him is The strength of both of them, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But his technical ability, Shorty, is like a world champion. Funny that.
That's a flyweight moving to bantamweight.
Against a guy that was 170 pounds in there.
Wow.
He rehydrated to 170 pounds.
And I think that was the submission which IMMAF posted before the event, where he submitted a guy with the face bar.
Oh, face bar.
The face bar.
Yeah.
So he's going to do that. He almost does that face bar again.
Didn't he get a standing guillotine in IMMAFs as well?
Yeah, I think so. That face bar was something that, it's funny, when I was watching it, I was like,
He did well to get out of that, though.
before the fight, I saw that post from IMAF. I think it was IMAF or Brave social media that was posting when he was fighting in IMAF, got the face bar. But this is the thing I was saying. I mean, you can't give it a 10-8 because Nkosi is defending really well.
He is.
He's got that arm. He's got 2-on-1 on his left arm. If he would have taken that arm to the other side, it would have been a different story.
100%.
But he didn't do that. And Shorty pulls him back. Does not take the back. He stays in that position. It's really good and goes for the Kimura.
Yeah.
And tries the arm bar after this, I guess. There we go.
I mean, look, it was a dominant round from Shorty Torres, but it wasn't pure domination.
It wasn't a 10-8 round.
No,
That's the thing. And
not.
Nkosi did a fantastic job defending it. I mean, look at that armbar, how he defended it, and how quickly he gets back up. That was
athleticism.
amazing.
The athleticism.
Unbelievable how Nkosi dealt with it really well. Now he starts throwing those knees in that position and gets really good knees there.
This position for Shorty was superb.
Yeah.
This is in some senses, Phil, a very simple fight. When they are apart, when Cozy has the advantage.
Now that round definitely went to Shorty. But
100%. There's not a doubt in my mind.
But Nkosi did a very good job managing everything Shorty threw at him.
Yeah.
You know, from all, he was not in the best.
It's funny, when we talk about the development of Nkosi, right? We talk about how far he's come. This round that he lost shows me more about how much he's developed than some of the rounds where he won.
Yeah.
Because of how well he defended.
Absolutely. No, it's unbelievable. Like, this was, I mean, you would see Shorty doing this every round to a lot of top flyweights and bantamweights. We've seen that in training. We've seen that in his fights. Every fight of his, we've seen him do that. But this is different, man. I mean,
100%.
Nkosi has done a fantastic job. Like, a lot of credit to Nkosi for dealing with it really well. The kimuras, the arm bars, the face bars, everything that Shorty did, he defended really well. But yeah, again, the way I give 10-9 to Shorty in this round is because he was more aggressive in the positions.
Yeah.
He wasn't, he was trying multiple submissions. He didn't have to go for that armbar and lose it, you know, but he went
for
the armbar rather than staying in that position. But he was getting the back and he's throwing punches.
And he completely dominated the flow of the fight. Wherever the fight went is because Shorty Torres put it there.
Yeah. And he figured everything out. And I feel like, but for me, that second round was why I was so much want to do this, because the second round is where I feel the difference, right? For me, I think Nkosi did a better job in round 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Better than what he did in round 2.
Interesting. So before we just move on to that, so I've got to ask you, did you have it 3-2 for Shorty? Or did you have it 4-1?
Interesting, because round 4 and round 5, to be honest, if I was a judge, and you would see in my notes, trust me, you look at my notes, and it's round 4, right?
Yeah.
10-9, I give to Shorty, but 9-10 to Nkosi is okay.
Okay, yeah,
and you look at my 5th round, 10-9 either ways.
Yeah.
But if it was me, I had to be the judge and score something because I am the judge.
Yeah.
I would give 10-9 Shorty.
But you'd be happy the other way.
If
I would have been too.
Yeah. So for me, that was the thing. If I had to judge and I had to put a score in, it had to be 10-9. I wouldn't give it a draw.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a fight that you could say it's a draw, because you had to decide what did you see. And I think maybe also the second round again, even the second time I watched, maybe the second round, the switch of what happened in the second round made me look at everything differently.
Maybe.
But I've noticed from the second round that cage control was no more a dominant, it was just a dominant position, not him dominating
Understood.
And that's what I was looking at round 3 and 4. But I feel like 4 and 5, round 4 and 5, sorry, not 3, 4 and 5. But round 4 and 5, I still think that Nkosi did a better job in round 4 and 5 than 2. But he came from round 1, which was a dominant round for Nkosi.
Yeah.
And when he came from that round 1 to round 2, it just didn't click that dominant position must not be really dominating. And that was a difference. But when you watch it again, you know that was Shorty being in a position, getting the person out of control. And the first few minutes, Shorty was aggressive, getting in, landing more cleaner, and getting that cage control where he was being more aggressive, being more active. That's the right word. Being more active from that position than wanting to just stay there. And trying to land every knee Nkosi throws, he's got 2 knees for that.
Yeah.
And every time you count that, you're going to know that the person who was striking more was him. And say, but his back was to the cage, but even took you down with back to the cage, So that back to the cage is a scary back to the cage for Shorty. That's not a guy whose back is to the cage and you feel like, I think I am dominating him. No, what I'm really doing is I am actually defending myself. And that's the story I was talking to you about. Like everybody was looking and saying, Shorty tried to defend himself. And you're like, no, it's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is not right. But that clinch position, the striking, one person pushing the other person back, all that continues to repeat, and the teep kick gets continued to be blocked with the elbows, which becomes more offensive from Shorty as well. And I think that...
Well, the teep started to die down, didn't they?
Because, 100%. And you'd notice that it starts changing into other kicks. But was good because Nkosi started switching that with the head kicks.
He did, yes.
A little bit after,
Right at the end of the round 5 as well, didn't he? As they stepped back, he threw the head
and
kick.
I think after the first round 5 is when when he had his best striking play after round 1. The best striking he did was in round 5. 2, 3, 4, we saw no striking that we felt like he was dominant. 2 and 3, nothing.
Yeah.
4, he does a little bit of positioning, but I think 5 was when he got his best combination after the first round.
At the first the first part of the round and the last part of the round.
Yeah. But 4th round was a tough one because, again, Shorty was dominating the 3rd round, like majority dominant, like serious domination. And then you go to the 4th round and you saw maybe it was both the fighters resetting a little bit, but you saw Nkosi becoming a little bit... fading away, you would say. I saw him fading. A lot of people I even heard the commentator saying that he looks fresh.
Yeah.
But for me, I felt like he looks fresh, but it was actually fading away with his techniques. You did see some good stiff jabs from Nkosi, but he was more trying to figure a way out. How do I have a game plan that could kill the game plan of what Shorty's doing? So now it's more defensive. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is more defensive. So he had to come up with something that's going to be something new, which Shorty's not going to figure out. Clinch Shorty's figured it out. Striking Shorty's figured it out. Teep kick Shorty's figured it out. Muay Thai clinch Shorty's figured it out. So what am I going to do different? But he still had those stiff jabs, and he continued his game plan. But I think he could have done a little more with his combinations with his hands, and that was always working. Every time he threw his hands, it was actually working.
Let's see it, because so just before you press, you had it as 4-1 to Shorty then, because you scored this one as
4 and 5. I did score for Shorty as well, because I didn't see those positions which I mentioned, the cage control, but the striking. I think 5th round Nkosi did better, so that was a more closer round for me than the 4th, because 4th I think there was more clinch position. I could be wrong. We can watch it, but I think I could be wrong. But the teep kicks was not any more effective for me because you could all see that Shorty is very comfortable with those teep kicks to the body.
Lovely kick.
And he keeps throwing those leg kicks, man.
Yeah, lovely.
From round 1 to round 5, nobody gives credit to that low kick that he's constantly throwing.
So you had it as obviously as but a great defensive work as well from Shorty.
Yeah.
You had it as Shorty winning, but the last 2 rounds you were happy either way.
It was much closer.
So you wouldn't have been against the Nkosi decision either. It's one of those fights, huh?
Absolutely right. Like now you see, now these front kicks that Shorty is blocking, what do you look at it as? For me, I look at it as Nkosi is nothing lands.
Yeah.
His punches are getting on his hand, nothing goes through, the knees don't go through, the teeps don't go through.
It's not a point scoring shot if it hits the gloves, right?
So I don't see anything really significant other than the low kicks of Shorty.
Yeah, because he's answering there with the low kicks.
And nobody's scoring those low kicks because that's the only thing that's really landing clean. But if he would have, if you look at, that was a good kick. And you'll see him slightly turning into a roundhouse type of a teep.
You're right though. He is faded a bit here. He doesn't quite still have the same snap.
And those lazy takedowns was started from the 4th round. Lazy takedowns in the 4th round. Lazy shots, let's say.
I think if he rewatches this fight back, he's going to have his head in his hands.
And you see that, and the clinch position, that's a bad position for you, because even if you put him to the cage, you're working defensively from there. You turn him, that's the most comfortable defensive position Nkosi has, but in this position, you'll see, just keep counting how many strikes each one throws. Wow. And you will notice that it that's just a position that's being held. Because holding his wrist, there is no offense from the right hand because it's holding his wrist. And the right hand is gone. The overhook has controlled it. And the left hand is where the battle is happening, but the knees are coming in every time.
From Shorty.
And he knows he cannot give space, because if you give space, he's going to try to flip him down, exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And this takedown, his head protects it.
Lovely though.
Yeah. And that clinch is so dangerous, because you're constantly seeing domination of the clinch position. And then you see, people think that he's fresh, but his lazy kicks, hands are down, and that you didn't have to shoot.
Shouldn't have shot. That's what I mean. He's going to look back at those moments where he shot and think, why?
But that's the thing, right? It's the only reason why he shot is because his striking was not properly landing and the teeps were not working. He needed that the second gas to come back. So, what do you call the second wind?
Yeah.
So you could, and this 4th round was really in a way that his hands were loose and he's doing those lazy shots.
He wasn't as crisp.
And then you're back to the cage and you're still seeing a guy and Shorty is constantly the same thing. Throwing the punches, trying to get those knees in, taking him off balance, trying to create that space. And you'd see very few.
If Torres can get this fight to the grind again.
Nkosi feels, because of his strength and size advantage, he feels more comfortable.
I am seeing it in a different light here. He looks more busy, but they're not really landing.
Yeah, and that was the only time you would see it, by the way, but those 3-4 little knees that he was throwing. And then Shorty is throwing harder knees, but he's good to be in this position. He's happy to hold this position, and that shoulder.
Lovely.
Shoulder punch was
I think he has a few more here.
Yeah, that was a good one.
There, beautiful.
And Shorty's like.
See, I did give this round to Nkosi. But it's tough. It's one of those rounds.
But you see that. That's what I'm saying.
It was tough.
I didn't see that clinch position. A lot of work that was effective work, and other than Shorty doing this,
Yeah.
you see them. You compare the significant strikes from that position. It was still. See, he threw those punches that he has create space. Those are not light punches to the body, and he's still trying to get that space in there. And I felt like this is where I said if I was a judge, I would give it, because he kept doing the same position where he was not active for 3 minutes almost.
Yeah, and it's Shorty trying to get out of this.
Yeah, and Shorty is working that position.
Beautiful knees.
And then gets that clinch and unbelievable. Does that again.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But Nkosi does so well to get out again.
Yeah, he's like a cat.
He is.
The 4th round was something where Nkosi was, you see his hands
Yeah, he's
falling.
definitely
And that was the best thing Nkosi did.
See, why go for a takedown again?
Yeah. But that was a very good combo that Nkosi did, where he threw the spinning kick. He should have done all these different things in his striking. More combinations in his hands. It would have worked. That spinning kick. I mean, things that you don't expect. Like Shorty he's like a student of the game, right? Like the experience he has, the IQ he has. So every position that you give him time to think and he understands his positions, he's figuring you out.
And the training partners he has. You do the basics like that in MMA, there's going to be nothing he hasn't seen.
And Nkosi had to be more unorthodox. So he had to bring in his, that game.
And that's normally what he does best.
Absolutely. And that's would have been really his strength against Shorty as well. But you give him that cage control position, Shorty's happy to be there. Shorty's happy to clinch any day. But when you're standing up, we've said that before the fight as well. Shorty's gonna see that throw, unbelievable. That was
the replay there.
Oh yeah, that was. And it's beautiful because Shorty realized coming into this fight that everything is going to be the takedowns, and you don't. It's funny how you saw maybe one actual double leg.
Yeah.
No single legs the
Yeah.
whole fight. One double leg.
I found this quite interesting.
Yeah.
The 5th round that Nkosi didn't choose to sit down. He
Right.
looked super tired in the 4th, but in the 5th round and before the 5th round, he didn't sit down.
Because that's why I think he got his second win. That 4th
Yeah.
round was when he looked weak. But in the 5th round, he was doing
Lovely
fine. He started well. He was motivated, and you'll see some really good combination from him.
Yeah.
His striking was so much better than the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd round. It was so much better. He looked, that's Nkosi's back,
Yeah, 100%. But those leg kick answers are still great.
Yeah. The teep is out of
I'd
the
like to
picture.
have seen that more from Shorty. I wish Nkosi stopped going for those takedowns.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't work the first time,
And you see those.
fair enough. If it doesn't work the second time, okay. If it doesn't work the third time, don't do it again.
But you'll see one of the worst takedowns. I mean, the most laziest shot you see Nkosi do in this whole fight.
And that's how he ended up in nearly getting subbed.
Right. And this position, I think this is where maybe Nkosi thought he was winning the fights
yeah.
because of this position, but it depends on the judges because everybody's looking and saying, why aren't you holding that position for 3 minutes and not active? What I'm seeing, Shorty working from there, throwing more kicks, throwing more knees,
Yeah.
taking you down, flipping you from there, and I think that was a difference. He should have worked a little more from here,
Yeah.
or tried to be more active, or at least
or break it away and stay long and rangy where you were having
Absolutely.
success.
Absolutely.
Like that. You're having more success when you're breaking away.
Yeah.
I am starting to see how
Maybe
your how
I don't know if someone if someone said, or you as a fighter, someone tells you that you are winning the fight, you're winning the rounds, you just feel like maybe I got to continue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But if someone said, I don't think that was enough for you to win the round because that's the combination I was talking about.
Beautiful. That bolo uppercut.
Yeah. Where we saw him throw the combinations, I was like, why didn't you throw more combinations during the fight? Like it's so good that when somebody's walking in, if you throw more than one punches, it's hard for him to walk in.
This is that lazy.
That was a takedown. Yeah.
And this is where it goes wrong for him.
Yeah. And you see that? That was a good reverse for defense from letting Shorty take his back and worked really well and got on top. Amazing. And again, you're in this position. You got to try to pass that guard, man. Try to pass that guard, get into a half guard, and try to work from there, or stay active from here. Yeah, and Shorty's doing really well.
Very.
He knows that game and it really looks like...
And he adapted really well from this position. He didn't have the triangle.
Yeah.
And the way he transitioned to the armbar was perfect.
Yeah.
He made the adjustments, at the right time.
Yeah, but the defense of Nkosi here, I don't think many people saw that right hand is still
Was
in.
inside, yeah.
And that's perfect. You have that position. And he has that arm and he knows that he's not in danger. And I think...
he was also not in danger though because Shorty didn't quite have the legs together.
Exactly.
He didn't have the angle or the legs together.
But that hand there, I think, made a lot of difference. And once you have that hand there, the moment you get that, you square with him, you should have put the head forward. Could have put the head forward, but that's where the stretch happened. So he didn't put the head forward. He got stretched. And I think when he tries to readjust again, because he has the right hand still between his legs, he's going to drive it and put his weight forward. And he's going to get that...
I would like to have seen Shorty let this go earlier.
Right.
Because they were like this
if
for a
he let
minute.
that go, I think it was a strategic thing because people think that's a submission. I think Shorty and Nkosi definitely knew, but I think Shorty knew as well at some point that it's not happening. But as long as it looks like he's in a submission, it looks he's dominating.
And it's slowing him down.
And if he lets that go from here right now, Nkosi is definitely getting his back.
Yeah. That fight IQ again.
True. But that's what I was saying. Like the whole fight, the experience of Shorty, I mean, how much he understands the game, like all those years of understanding what clinch works. I'm not going to go for a single leg. You didn't go for a single leg the whole fight. You didn't go for a single leg. You went for a double leg when you were so close to him, cage to cage, and you dropped down for the double. That was it.
Well, I think the only shots all fight were from the Nkosi.
And Shorty knew,
I know there was one from Shorty.
and
Actually.
Shorty knew what I'm gonna do in this fight. See, he drives in, he puts his head weight forward. There you go, and drive that right hand in.
Looking for the armbar.
That triangle again.
Boom, and he says, and that's the end of the round, right?
No, they stand up and then he gets that head kick.
The future, will it be Shorty Torres?
Oh no, that is
No,
the
that
end of
was
the
the
round.
end of the
Yeah,
round,
yeah.
My God, it goes to a decision.
What a fight! What a fight!
Absolutely,
Do you know what? You're right. It's a lot closer than I thought.
it is.
I think I still pick Nkosi, but it's a hell of a lot closer than I thought.
So when I look at that fight and I see, and I'm like, it's a fight where you're actually seeing Shorty, after the first round where the foundation was formed, I know he's going to clinch. I know he's going to throw those front kicks. And he just come out of the second round. You're going to strike with me, I'm going to be more aggressive. That kills his positioning to throw his techniques really well. He gets him on the cage. That's my best place to be. Get me on the cage. Don't worry about it. That's where I'm going to take you off balance because you're going to be leaning to me. But Shorty knew, he studied this. That's why I was telling you that I would love to watch the rematch because Shorty came to this fight more prepared than Nkosi. And otherwise, why wouldn't Shorty go for a single leg or double leg? He knew that was not the way to take him down. He knew that there's going to be clinches coming at him. He knew that there's going to be Muay Thai clinches. There's going to be positions where I'm the shorter guy. I'm going to have my hips lower than Nkosi for sure. So the takedown that's going to happen is going to be flips, hip throws. That's what's going to happen.
It was like Shorty was coming in based on homework, whereas Nkosi was coming in and on the belief in himself.
Right.
Knowing that his nickname's the future, that confidence he has in himself, as he should. But that was the difference in this fight, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I think when you do the rematch, we're actually going to see Nkosi look at the fight differently. Because I'm sure that he's going to watch this fight and he's going to realize that I didn't have to hang in that cage control position from second round to fifth round and think that that is what's going to win me the fight.
Yeah. Or make those lazy shots when he should have kept it standing. Should have
Absolutely.
been.
I mean, that's something that he's going to look and say that, why did I do it? But the idea where if you can look back and see that position of the cage control and know that that's where I won and lost the fight, was in that position, because that's where like myself and maybe the judges, whoever gave, must have had their thought that Nkosi was not busier and he was not really dominating. He was having a dominant position and he's holding onto the position. I think that's where he's going to realize that, and he's going to know that in the next game I need to change. Either I'm good at that, I can hold him in that position for sure, but those little mistakes of having an idea, what should I do from there? Where do I go from here? How do I make sure that I am actually dominating that position?
Yeah, using his position more effectively.
Taking advantage of it. I think that's what he's going to learn. Because if you do that and then you look at that striking, because second round we didn't see much of striking because it was that early stage and he was seeing Shorty immediately get busier from the first round. And that allowed Shorty to make sure that there's no more striking there. Third round, it was Shorty completely. But in the fourth round, we saw that striking, but it was where he wanted to get that second win. It was a championship round. He was looking a little bit down, fading away. But fifth round, he came out really good. Nkosi came out really well.
Really well.
I think he looked more like, okay, I'm back. Gave some good combinations. But I think, again, you shouldn't have relied a lot on that cage control.
No. Or gone for those lazy shots.
Especially in the last.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we have to see the rematch.
We have to see the rematch. There's no question about it. This has to. I mean, see, this is what I'm saying. It's my opinion, right? I mean, like I said, I'm not a judge. Whoever is listening, I mean, I'm not a judge. I'm not a referee. I've never done a course, or I'm not an expert in mixed martial art. I mean, this is what I see in the fight, and this is why. When I saw the first time, I did message Nkosi, I did message his manager, I did tell you and everybody else, everyone I said that I think Nkosi won the fight, like he did win the fight.
Yeah.
And when I saw this, the announcement, I think even the commentators was thinking that Nkosi won the fight. And when they raised Shorty's hand, I was really surprised. Like not that, oh yeah, it could have gone either ways. No, I was like, wow, that he just got robbed. I mean, that was my mind was like, he got robbed. I mean, that's not how it is. Yes. And I was thinking that so many reasons why Shorty would have won. and why the judges gave it to Shorty. And I'm just trying to run this, and I was like, it's not possible. And Nkosi got robbed, And then when I watched it the second time,
I don't think it was a robbery.
yeah, when I watched the second time, I was literally sitting and I was like, such an amazing fight. I just have learned to appreciate this fight even more. This fight could be something that a lot of young up-and-coming generation athletes who wants to be mixed martial art fighters can actually watch this fight and learn so much from it. Because when you say, and I think we mentioned this when we were talking to Hamza, a lot of things we discussed when we were having that talk with Hamza, what you said and Hamza said, a lot of things was really happening because we knew that training with someone who is your size or bigger than you might not be the solution, because what you're going to get from Shorty is going to be somebody whose hip is lower. And I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
But he bought in something that a taller guy could not really do with you.
100%. But on the flip to that, I think, which I also said might happen, is that Shorty underestimated how strong Nkosi was. Nkosi doesn't look that strong, but I think he's always underestimated because he's long and wiry. Yeah. But we saw not many people outstrength Shorty. Yeah. So
100%. And you couldn't find a time when Shorty could actually keep him down.
No,
you couldn't keep him down. It was tough to keep him down. It was that strength, I think, that also put Nkosi in a position where he felt like I am more stronger than him because I can hold him onto the cage. Yeah. And I think that was a positive and a negative. But on a positive side, yes, it was very clear. And I think for me, Nkosi really made people remember his name after this fight. Like he said that the people will know my name. And yes, everybody knows his name. And he showcased that he's one of the best bantamweights in the world. And I think that young career in mixed martial art and how fast he's grown, the depth of experience in understanding those techniques to the way Shorty knows those techniques and lived those techniques for years and years and fights after fights, countless amount of fights. I mean, that was a difference we saw when he was able to figure out his opponent. And like you said, Nkosi came with that mentality that,
I am the future.
I am, and he had that self-confidence, like you said, rightfully he should, and he knew how I am going to be dominant in striking. I'm going to be dominant in clinching because I am better than in every place, But when Shorty found solution from his experience and IQ, he couldn't. It was, I think, Nkosi couldn't at that point find, and that could be because of the young career that he has, that he couldn't find a solution to that solution Shorty found.
I also think you got to look at the corner of Shorty. You've got the likes of Master Bob. We spoke about it in Hawk's Corner with Hamza as well, where he's written books on techniques, on freestyle and folk style wrestling. So when you combine the IQ of Shorty and the background and depth of knowledge that his corner has, it's no surprise that they come and do what they do and how well schooled they are.
And if you read the book of Master Bob, you'll realize, it's really detailed. It's really the science of clenching and control. So, he teaches, I think he must have a whole chapter on an underhook. Like, how does an underhook feel when somebody's holding the underhook? How do you feel, and how do you not have to have the person touch you to feel where his hands positions are, and why you don't have to actually touch him to get a good underhook, to really realize what do I need to do with it. Do with the underhook. So you can understand that when Shorty is doing what he's doing, and the way he's doing this amazing, like Jose Shorty Torres just turned into a judoka, right? This is a judoka Shorty right there.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. I've never seen him do that kind of amount of hip throws and hip tosses in a fight. But
I'm all for it. It looks spectacular.
You give him another opponent tomorrow, and he will study him really well.
Yeah.
It'll be a completely different Shorty. Shorty, he's a Pep Guardiola of MMA, let's say. He figures his opponent out. He studies them so much, and he comes with a game plan, a solution for it. It's unbelievable.
He's almost our GSP.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. That's the right way to put it, yeah. And that's what we saw today. That's Nkosi, one of the most talented kids, and I think that what he showed today is that this guy is going to be something big. He's going to be one of the best bantamweights in the world, and this is just the beginning. He's only got to improve fight after fight, and that's why for me, I want to see this rematch. I want to see this rematch because I know that if Nkosi was what we saw right now in his 5-round fight, it's his first 5 round, and you saw this.
He was standing up in between the 4th and 5th round. This kid is ready to go. You know, his nickname's a future, and I agree. He's a future champion. He is a future world champion.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, in the end of the day, if he's going to come for the next fight with Shorty and he's going to figure out and learn from what he's seen in this fight, and for me, and that's the thing, right? I mean, I'm not saying like that this is how the fight went. It could be completely wrong. It was just my opinion, by the way. And like you said, like you saw it differently.
Yeah.
I'm sure that majority of the people that we are seeing on internet have seen it differently.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to be one of those few people that are looking at it this way that I spoke about. But I think that also I had to see the second time is when I had this different opinion about it.
And ultimately, it doesn't matter how you saw it or how I saw it or how the internet saw it. The judges on the night saw it that way and the judges gave it that way. What is important, though, is that we see it again, and we will see it again.
Definitely, but not a 10-8 round.
Not a 10-8 round. No way. That's ludicrous. The other thing I took away from this fight is, is the excitement I was excited anyway, but after watching these two go at it, the excitement I have for the bantamweight division in Brave Combat Federation. The fights we can make. You know, you're looking at Vela Maradi's just come up, who is also very similar. If you look at his last fight with Nicholas, he started off the fight a certain way and had to adapt. He moved to the single leg to take down the bigger opponent and got his adaptations. Imagine him versus Shorty.
Unbelievable, yeah.
You got Nicholas versus Nkosi. You've got Hamza in the mix. You've got Izzadine Al-Dabani. Shorty's already beat him, but imagine a striking match with Izzadine Al-Dabani and Nkosi. That'd be crazy.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, that weight class is getting so stacked that anyone fights anyone. I mean, that's what when we spoke with Hamza, he was like, that's my belt because he was title contender. He had the closest split decision win for as a title contender. He should get that title belt. But Shorty was, for him, this was my belt for a long time. I just didn't get the opportunity to fight for it. And that's where he is. And Nkosi looked amazing that we're talking about the majority of the people thinking Nkosi won that fight. And if it was anywhere else, who knows,
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, we never know how the scoring and the judging will go if it wasn't. I think the exact same fight, if it would have happened live in different countries, we would have seen different results, could have gone both the ways, So,
where they weren't speaking Spanish. Maybe cut that bit out.
Yeah, because speaking Spanish. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, when you have an opinion, it's different things that brings you that opinion. I mean, and that's why I think this fight is not only about just who won or how did you judge it, but it's also a key indication that there should be a movement to reform the judging system of mixed martial art from this 10-9 system and have more clearer idea of what are you scoring and what is scoring and what's not.
I think the sport's in a sort of a funny transitional period at the moment where there are the new MMA, unified MMA rules where it is more about damage and etc. But there's also a lot of people that quite haven't got that message. That message hasn't quite filtered down. You still have got the old school, hold on to someone and you win a round, you know what I mean? And we're seeing it a lot in MMA. I don't think, the more we watch that fight, I don't think it was a robbery. I think that decision either way could have been okay. I think that's fair to say. I think if the internet, and the opinionated guys went back and watched it, they would see that it would be okay either way. But there are some fights where judging, you're just like, what are they watching?
Right.
That fight was either way, but the fact that two of the judges gave a 10-8 is bananas. There are some fights that are happening in MMA now where you just can't rely on the judges because we're in this transitional period of what is the criteria and what isn't the criteria. That's why you've got some guys giving it to one guy, the one score, 4 rounds to one on one way, 4 rounds to on another. Something needs to happen where they do meet again at the unified rules, but that transition period is causing problems at the moment.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, we have to. I think that's how it's going to be. But in the end of the day, I mean, for us, it still allows people to discuss and talk about the fight.
Gives us something to talk about.
Absolutely, and that's one of the fights that I feel like it's not going to be just a talk for the fighters' camps. I mean, they're going to listen to this and they're going to have so much from both the camps to speak about.
I'm not looking forward to seeing my phone.
Yeah, but and that's the thing, you know. I mean, that's the fun about when two athletes, top level athletes, the best in the world, come again, you know, fight against each other. This is what we have, and and that's why, you know, I wanted to do this. I wanted to sit and have this chat with you and go to the fights. I know that, you know, it's not, you know, it's a usual practice to sit and as a promoter to sit and talk about fights and watch fight and put it on internet. But for me, it was more about, it's fun to, when you have this caliber fights, the highest level, you have to talk about it. You have to talk about the technical side of the fight. You have to talk about how you saw it and what's the strengths and weaknesses of each opponent. And I think you can't, it would be injustice to leave a fight that technical, mentally and physically, how much you could learn from a fight like that, to leave it just with the idea of who won and who lost, and we don't talk about it. And I want to be the first one to actually talk about that fight, you know. So and I love to hear, you know, and I love to hear whether it's from the camps or whether it's from the fans or whether it's from anybody else to have their opinion on it, because this is a fight that I would love to know more about how judges score it, what they saw was more dominant, what they saw was more significant. And if you don't understand some techniques, how are you going to judge who was more superior?
That's very true.
You know, and what if I didn't know about the elbow strikes when he was doing the teep kicks? I'm always going to think that he was just taking kicks and kicks, you know. So these little things that I think are a constant education, and you can't blame anyone, because MMA is also evolving at that fast pace. That how am I going to catch up everything? I mean, I could understand maybe something in striking, but if I would have seen some detailed wrestling moves, I mean, not the takedowns, but something with what's happening in the clinch, I might not understand it, you know?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But listen, we need to see that rematch. I think both these fighters are hungry to get that fight again. We want to see that fight again. And I can't wait to make that rematch happen.
Me neither.
We're done.
خلاص.